There is a rule so fundamental to life that it feels unquestionable. Vision requires light. No light means no sight. Every eye on Earth, from insects to humans, follows this principle. Light enters. Information is processed. The world becomes visible. It's a system refined over hundreds of millions of years. Stable, reliable, predictable. Or so we thought. Because far below the surface of our oceans, that rule quietly collapses. As we descend past the reach of sunlight, past the blue shimmer of the upper sea, we enter a realm where vision should be useless. A place where darkness is not temporary, not seasonal, but permanent. Here, light does not arrive. It does not reflect. It does not exist. And yet, something is watching. Not metaphorically. Literally. Eyes are looking out from the dark. Eyes so large, so sensitive, so unnatural that their very existence forces a disturbing question. Why would evolution build eyes in a world without light? To understand how strange this is, we need to begin at the surface. Here, light dominates everything. Sunlight fuels plankton. Plankton feeds fish. Fish feed larger predators. Entire ecosystems are built on visibility. Color matters. Shape matters. Movement matters. Vision is one of nature's most powerful tools. But light is fragile. By just 200 meters below the surface, it begins to fade. Colors disappear one by one. Reds vanish first. Then oranges. Then yellows. Eventually, only blue remains, thin, weak, and unreliable. This is the twilight zone. A vast layer of ocean stretching across the entire planet, where sunlight arrives already dying. Too weak for photosynthesis. Too dim to support plants. A place balanced on the edge between visibility and blindness. And this is where evolution begins to behave strangely. Animals here don't rely on sharp vision the way surface creatures do. Instead, many become transparent. Their bodies turn to glass, organs barely visible, as if they're trying not to be seen at all. Others abandon invisibility and choose the opposite strategy. They make their own light. Bioluminescence appears everywhere. Flickers. Pulses. Glows. Sudden flashes in the dark. Light becomes a weapon, a lure, a warning, a lie. But even here, vision still makes sense. There is some light to detect. Some glow to interpret. Some contrast to exploit. Then we go deeper. Past 1,000 meters, the last traces of sunlight disappear completely. We enter the midnight zone. This is not darkness as we know it. This is absolute night. No dawn. No dusk. No moonlight. No seasons. Just endless black water, stretching for kilometers in every direction. Temperatures hover near freezing. Pressure increases to hundreds of times what we experience at the surface. To a human, this environment would be instantly lethal. And yet life persists. Not just life, but hunters. Predators that do not chase silhouettes. Predators that do not track shadows. Predators that live in a world where seeing should be impossible. So how do they find prey? The answer is unsettling. They don't look for shapes. They look for light itself. Down here, almost 3/4 of all animals produce bioluminescence. Tiny chemical reactions that release faint glows, blues, greens, sometimes even reds. To us, these lights look beautiful. Almost decorative. But in the deep sea, light is never accidental. A single flash can reveal movement. A ripple of glow can expose a heartbeat. A brief shimmer can mean life, or death. And in this environment, eyes begin to change. They grow larger, more sensitive, less concerned with detail, more obsessed with detection. Some animals abandon color vision entirely, focusing only on contrast. Others tune their eyes to specific wavelengths, ignoring everything else. Then, evolution takes a step that feels almost excessive. It creates eyes that are not just large, but enormous. Eyes so oversized they dominate the skull. Eyes that gather every possible photon, no matter how faint. Eyes designed not to see a world, but to detect disturbances in nothingness. This is where the story becomes uncomfortable. Because these eyes don't belong to small, fragile creatures. They belong to giants. Somewhere in the darkness, far beyond the reach of cameras and submersibles, lives an animal whose eyes are the largest ever produced by nature. Larger than those of whales. Larger than any terrestrial animal, extinct or alive. Each eye is roughly the size of a human head. And they exist in a place where almost no light reaches at all. At first glance, this makes no sense. Large eyes are expensive. They require energy. They demand resources. In an environment where food is scarce, where every calorie matters, oversized organs should be a disadvantage. Unless they provide something essential. Scientists believe these massive eyes are tuned not to see the environment, but to detect sudden flashes of bioluminescence. When a large predator moves through the water, it disturbs smaller organisms. Plankton, jellyfish, tiny crustaceans, all of them capable of emitting light when touched. A predator doesn't need to be visible. Its movement is enough. And in the deep, that disturbance creates a faint, expanding glow, like a silent explosion of light in the dark. For an animal with ordinary vision, this glow would go unnoticed. But for an eye built specifically for darkness, it becomes a warning. Something massive is approaching. This is not vision as we experience it. This is early warning surveillance. And the animal that owns these eyes relies on them not to hunt, but to survive. Because it is not the top predator down here. It is prey. In the black water of the midnight zone, one of the ocean's largest hunters stalks silently, the sperm whale. Using echolocation instead of sight, it dives into darkness, searching for large, soft-bodied animals drifting below. And somewhere in that darkness, something sees the disturbance before the sound arrives. An eye opens wider, not to see the world, but to detect the moment it is about to disappear. What kind of creature needs eyes like that? And what does it say about an environment where sight itself has been redesigned? In the next part, we'll reveal the animal behind these impossible eyes, and why evolution pushed vision to a size that should never have been necessary. The animal behind those eyes remained unknown for most of human history. Not because it was rare, but because it lived where observation fails. Far below the reach of nets, beyond the limits of early submarines, drifting through water that swallows light and sound alike, exists the heaviest invertebrate ever known to science. The colossal squid. For decades, it was little more than a rumor. Fragments pulled from whale stomachs. Scarred skin found on the bodies of sperm whales. Tentacles without a body. Eyes without context. No one had seen a living adult in its natural environment. And yet, evolution had already left clues. The eyes. Each one can reach nearly 27 centimeters in diameter, larger than a human head, larger than the eyes of any whale, any shark, any dinosaur we know of. This alone raises a problem. In nature, size is rarely wasted. Eyes are metabolically expensive. They require constant neuroprocessing. They demand oxygen. They consume energy in an environment where energy is painfully scarce. In the deep sea, animals evolved to shrink, simplify, conserve. So why would one creature do the opposite? Why would evolution invest so much into vision in near total darkness? To answer that, we need to understand what the colossal squid is not. It is not a fast hunter. It is not a pursuit predator. It does not chase prey across long distances. Instead, it drifts. Its massive body hangs in the water column, tentacles trailing beneath it like loose cables. Movement is slow, deliberate, minimal. This is not a creature designed for speed. It is designed for awareness. In the midnight zone, danger doesn't announce itself visually. There are no silhouettes, no outlines, no shadows. The greatest threat comes silently. The sperm whale. Unlike most deep-sea predators, the sperm whale does not rely on sight at all. It hunts using echolocation, powerful clicks that can stun prey and map entire environments in sound. To a colossal squid, the whale is nearly invisible until it is close. But sound is not the only signal a predator creates. As a whale moves through the deep, its massive body displaces water. That movement disturbs clouds of tiny organisms, plankton, jellyfish, microscopic animals, many of which respond with bioluminescent flashes. The result is subtle. A faint bloom of light. Barely perceptible. Gone in seconds. To most animals, this means nothing. But to an eye designed for darkness, it is everything. The colossal squid's eyes are thought to be tuned specifically for this event. Not to see prey. Not to see the environment. But to detect the moment something enormous is moving nearby. It is not looking for shapes. It is watching for explosions of light in the dark. This reframes the eye entirely. It is not a window. It is a sensor. And that sensor may give the squid just enough warning to react, to maneuver, to deploy its arms, to turn its body, to prepare for impact. Because when a sperm whale attacks, there is no escape. Only resistance. Scars on whale skin tell this story. Circular marks left by suction cups lined with hooks. Evidence of violent encounters fought in total darkness, between two giants relying on completely different senses. Sound versus light. Echo versus glow. And evolution chose to arm the squid with the largest eyes imaginable. But the colossal squid is only the beginning. Because the deeper we look, the stranger vision becomes. Some animals do not grow larger eyes. They grow different ones. Take the barrel-eye fish. At first glance, it looks almost comical. A small, delicate body with a completely transparent head. Inside, two tubular eyes point straight upward, encased in a fluid-filled dome. This fish does not look forward. It looks through its own skull. The transparent head allows light to pass directly to the eyes, reducing distortion. The upward-facing eyes are tuned to detect silhouettes against the faint glow above, the last remaining contrast in a dark world. Prey passing overhead becomes visible as a shadow crossing dim light. The fish does not chase. It waits. Other species take this even further. Some deep-sea fish possess eyes that are not symmetrical. One eye may be larger than the other, or oriented at a different angle. This is not a defect. It is specialization. One eye scans upward for light. The other scans downward for movement. Vision is split. Purpose-built. Then there are creatures that see colors that should not exist. The dragonfish produces red bioluminescence, a wavelength that does not travel far in water and is invisible to most deep-sea animals. To the dragonfish, this red light functions like a private flashlight. It illuminates prey without revealing the hunter. Even more unsettling, its eyes are adapted to see this hidden color. It is a secret channel of vision, inaccessible to everything else around it. In effect, the dragonfish is seeing a version of reality that no other nearby animal can perceive. An invisible world layered over the dark. At this point, vision no longer feels like a passive sense. It feels like an arms race. Every eye is built in response to another eye. Every adaptation is designed to see, or not be seen. Some creatures abandon traditional eyes entirely. In the deepest regions, certain animals rely on photoreceptors spread across their skin, detecting light without forming images. They do not see shapes. They sense brightness. Movement becomes presence. Presence becomes danger. And still, in all of this, one question lingers. If evolution can build eyes this extreme, what happens when light disappears completely? Because there is a depth where even bioluminescence becomes rare. Where flashes are infrequent. Where darkness is no longer broken by glow. In the next part, we descend into that realm, where eyes persist even when seeing seems truly impossible, and where evolution pushes vision beyond anything we can easily explain. There is a depth in the ocean where even bioluminescence becomes scarce. Not gone, but rare enough to feel accidental. Below 4,000 meters, the water presses with such force that it reshapes biology itself. Proteins behave differently. Cell membranes stiffen. Chemical reactions slow. Movement becomes expensive. This is the abyssal plain. A vast desert of mud and silence, covering more than half of Earth's surface. Here, food does not arrive regularly. It falls. Tiny particles drifting down from the upper ocean. The remains of dead organisms. Occasionally, something larger, a fish, a shark, or the body of a whale, collapses into the darkness, becoming a temporary island of life. In this environment, speed is useless. Aggression is risky. Energy must be conserved. And yet, eyes remain. Not everywhere. Not in every species. But where they exist, they defy logic. Some abyssal fish have eyes so sensitive that they can detect a single photon, the smallest possible unit of light. A level of sensitivity that borders on the theoretical limits of vision. But sensitivity comes at a cost. These eyes cannot form sharp images. They cannot track fast motion. They do not perceive detail. They are not meant to see a world. They are meant to confirm that something else exists in it. Presence over clarity. Existence over form. Other creatures adapt by narrowing their field of vision. Instead of wide, panoramic eyes, they develop elongated, tubular eyes that focus on a single direction. Upward. Even here, in near total darkness, there is still a faint gradient. A difference between above and below. A ghost of orientation. Anything passing overhead creates the slightest contrast. That is enough. Then there are animals that abandon traditional vision altogether, or nearly. Some deep-sea crustaceans possess eyes that are more reflective than receptive. Instead of absorbing light, they bounce it back, amplifying faint signals. Others have eyes dominated by rods, photoreceptors built not for color, but for sensitivity. Color becomes irrelevant. Only brightness matters. At these depths, vision is no longer about seeing what something is. It is about knowing that something is there. But there is an even deeper frontier. Beyond 6,000 meters, the ocean floor fractures into trenches carved by tectonic forces. This is the Hadal Zone, named after Hades, the underworld. Here, the rules of life bend to their limit. Pressure exceeds 1,000 times that of the surface. Temperatures hover just above freezing. Food is almost non-existent. For a long time, scientists believed this region was nearly lifeless. They were wrong. Life exists here, fragile, gelatinous, slow. And remarkably, some of it still has eyes. These eyes are often small, pearly defined, and almost ghost-like. They do not resemble the powerful sensors of the colossal squid or the dragonfish. Instead, they look vestigial, reduced, simplified. At first, this suggested something obvious. Eyes here are becoming obsolete. But closer study revealed something unsettling. These eyes are not disappearing randomly. They are being preserved, selectively. Some hadal fish retain eye structures even when the surrounding environment offers almost no light at all. Others maintain neural pathways connected to vision, despite lacking functional lenses. Why preserve something that no longer works? One explanation is evolutionary inertia, traits that take time to fade. But that explanation fails in an environment this extreme. Energy waste here is punished immediately. Nothing unnecessary survives. Which suggests a darker possibility. That even in the deepest trenches, light still matters. Not constant light. Not reliable light. But sudden light. Occasional light. The brief glow of a disturbed organism. The flash of a stress response. The faint shimmer of bioluminescent bacteria. In a world where nothing moves quickly, where time stretches, even rare events become important. An eye that detects one flash in a lifetime may still be worth keeping. Because that flash could mean food. Or danger. Or the difference between reproduction and extinction. And here, evolution reveals something profound. Eyes are not built only for environments filled with light. They are built for environments where light is information. Even if that information arrives once in years. This reframes how we think about vision entirely. On the surface, sight is about interpreting a rich visual world. In the deep, sight becomes anticipation. Expectation. The readiness to respond when the impossible happens. And perhaps that is why evolution refuses to let eyes disappear completely. Because darkness is never truly absolute. There is one final layer to this story. A realization that changes how we understand not just deep-sea life, but vision itself. In the next and final part, we'll step back and ask the uncomfortable question this evidence forces us to confront. If eyes can evolve to function where light barely exists, what does that say about the limits of life, and about where else in the universe vision might emerge? For centuries, humans believed darkness meant absence. No light. No vision. No life. It was an assumption shaped by surface living, by days and nights, by sun and shadow, by eyes that evolved under an open sky. The deep ocean quietly dismantles that assumption. Again and again, we find eyes where none should exist. Vision where sight seems pointless. Sensory systems pushed far beyond what intuition allows. These eyes do not seek beauty. They do not seek detail. They do not seek color. They seek meaning. In the deep sea, light is not a background feature of the world. It is an event, a signal, a disruption. And eyes evolve not to observe landscapes, but to respond to moments. This changes how we understand evolution itself. Natural selection does not aim for elegance. It does not aim for efficiency as we define it. It aims for survival, even if the solution feels excessive, wasteful, or irrational. The colossal squid's eyes are a perfect example. To us, they seem oversized, impractical, almost grotesque. But in a world where a single flash of disturbed bioluminescence may signal the arrival of a massive predator, those eyes are not an extravagance. They are a necessity. A fraction of a second of warning may be the only difference between escape and being torn apart in total darkness. Elsewhere in the deep, vision takes other forms. Some animals build eyes that see invisible colors. Others focus on single directions. Some abandon images altogether, reducing sight to raw detection, light or no light. In every case, evolution adapts not to the environment as we imagine it, but to the information hidden within it. This realization extends beyond the ocean. Because Earth is not the only place where darkness dominates. Beneath the icy crusts of moons like Europa and Enceladus lie vast subsurface oceans. Worlds sealed away from sunlight, warmed by internal heat rather than stars. If life exists there, it will not see as we do. But if it interacts with light, even briefly, then evolution may find a way. Bioluminescence could arise. Chemical flashes. Thermal glows. And where there is information carried by light, even rarely, eyes may follow. Not eyes like ours, but eyes that shouldn't work, yet do. Back on Earth, the deep sea remains largely unexplored. More than 80% of the ocean is still unknown. Each expedition reveals animals that challenge our assumptions. Transparent fish, glowing worms, creatures with organs whose functions we barely understand. Among them, eyes continue to appear in places we do not expect. Each one a reminder that life does not obey our intuition. It adapts, relentlessly. The greatest mistake is assuming we already understand the boundaries. Because the deep ocean is not a silent void. It is a living experiment, one that has been running for hundreds of millions of years, largely unseen. And in that experiment, vision did not fade when the light disappeared. It transformed. Perhaps that is the most unsettling truth of all. Darkness is not the absence of observation. It is simply the absence of observers like us. Something else is watching, waiting, and it has been seeing in the dark far longer than we have ever imagined. If this hidden world fascinates you, there are many more secrets still buried beneath the surface. Subscribe, and we'll continue exploring what Earth never meant us to see.